Are we being forced into EVs, and are hybrids actually the only logical choice right now? Everywhere you look, it's the same story. Governments setting deadlines to ban new gasoline cars, manufacturers announcing full electric by 20-something, dealers pushing EV incentives, ads telling you you're ruining the planet if you don't plug in. If you drive a normal gas car, it can feel like the walls are closing in, like you're being dragged into an EV whether it makes sense for you or not. But here's the twist. From an engineering and real-world perspective, full EVs are brilliant in some situations and a terrible fit in others. Gas cars still make a lot of sense, but long-term, they're clearly under pressure. And sitting right between those two extremes is a technology that quietly solves a lot of problems for most people. Hybrids. Not as flashy, not as political, not as new, but mechanically and practically, they might be the most rational choice for this weird transition period we're all living through. I'm GearHead. I don't care what's trendy, I care what actually works, what breaks, what lasts, and what destroys wallets. If you're tired of being yelled at by marketing and want straight engineering logic instead, subscribe, because this is one of those topics where hype and reality are miles apart. Let's decode what's really happening. Are we being forced into EVs, and why do hybrids suddenly look like the only sane middle ground? First, understand the forces at play. You're not imagining it. There is a giant push toward EVs, and it's coming from several directions at once. Governments are setting CO2 targets and climate agreements. Emissions regulations are tightening so much that developing new pure gas engines is becoming incredibly expensive. Cities are announcing future bans or restrictions on internal combustion in certain zones. Manufacturers are pushing them because EVs help them hit fleet emissions targets. It's a huge marketing opportunity. We're green, we're the future. Plus, they've already sunk billions into EV platforms, batteries, and factories. They need to sell them. Investors love the tech narrative. They see Tesla's valuation and want everyone else to look like that. All of that creates a narrative: gas is old, EVs are the future, get with it. But what that narrative doesn't explain is whether a full EV actually fits your life, where you live, how you drive, what you can afford, what infrastructure you have access to. That's where the cracks start to show. Let's be fair, EVs are not a scam. There are scenarios where they are objectively excellent. If you have a home with off-street parking, if you can install a level 2 charger, meaning 240 volts or 7 to 11 kilowatts, if your daily driving is within, say, 50 to 100 miles round trip, if you mostly drive in the city or suburbs and you like quiet, smooth power with instant torque, in those cases, a good EV can be cheaper per mile to run, depending on electricity costs. They are simpler mechanically, with no engine and no traditional transmission. They are nicer to drive day to day than almost any gas car. Instant torque, no shifting, very smooth. And they are cleaner at the tailpipe, obviously. For city commuting, school runs, and local errands, especially in regions with decent charging infrastructure, EVs are genuinely strong. But that's not everyone. EVs have some hard limitations that no amount of marketing can erase. Take range and charging. Long trips require planning around chargers. Fast charging speeds drop as batteries fill. The last 20 to 30% is slow. In some regions, chargers are rare, unreliable, or busy, and cold weather can hammer range and slow charging. Then there is your living situation. Apartment dwellers often can't install home chargers. Street parking makes consistent at-home charging almost impossible. Relying only on public chargers can be expensive and inconvenient. Battery and cost is another hurdle. EVs are still more expensive up front, especially for good range. Batteries can degrade over time, usually not catastrophically, but you do lose range. Replacing a large traction battery out of warranty is still a major cost, even if prices drop in the future. And then there is your use case. Towing heavy loads can slaughter range. Rural areas with long distances between towns are less EV-friendly. Extreme heat or cold puts additional stress on batteries and HVAC loads. So when you hear everyone should go full electric now, that completely ignores infrastructure gaps, housing realities, budget constraints, and the fact that many people drive in ways that don't match EV strengths. You're not crazy for thinking, this doesn't feel ready for me yet. On the other side, pure gasoline or diesel cars are easy to refuel almost anywhere. They are fast to refuel, 5 minutes and you're done. They are well understood by mechanics everywhere, and they are available at all price points. But they face real problems. Ever tighter emission standards mean more complexity. Turbochargers, particulate filters, high-pressure injection, EGR, SCR, and multiple catalytic converters. This complexity can hurt long-term reliability and increase repair costs. In cities with low emission zones, older gas and diesel vehicles are already being restricted, and political and public pressure is clearly pushing away from pure internal combustion. Long-term, it's obvious. Pure combustion is slowly being cornered. It's not going to vanish overnight, but the direction is clear. So, if a full EV doesn't fit your life, and pure gas is under pressure, what's left? This is where hybrids walk in like the quiet, reasonable adult in a room full of shouting. When I say hybrids here, I'm talking mostly about full hybrids, not mild 48-volt systems that just help the starter. A full hybrid has a combustion engine plus one or more electric motors. It can move the car on electric alone at low speeds in many systems. It uses a battery that's much smaller than a full EV, but big enough to assist and recover braking energy. And it does not require plugging in. From an engineering standpoint, a good hybrid system does 3 key things. First, it recovers energy normally wasted as heat in the brakes through regenerative braking. Second, it reduces engine idling and inefficient low-speed running. Third, it lets the engine operate in more efficient load and RPM ranges. What that means in practice is 30 to 50% better fuel economy in city and mixed driving compared to a similar non-hybrid. It means less wear on the engine and brakes in stop-and-go traffic, and absolutely no need for charging infrastructure, ever. Hybrids are a bridge between old and new technology, a way to cut fuel use and emissions now without needing perfect charging coverage. They are also much more mature in some brands, especially Toyota and Lexus, than most people realize. Let's stack them up directly. A full EV is best for people with home charging, predictable daily miles, and good local infrastructure. It is weak for apartment dwellers, long-distance drivers, heavy towing, and poor infrastructure regions. A pure gas is best for cheap upfront cost, simplicity in older models, and maximum refuel convenience. It is weak against future regulations, fuel cost volatility, and complex modern emissions hardware. A full hybrid is best for people who drive a mix of city and highway, people who can't or don't want to plug in, people who want to cut fuel use and emissions but keep life simple, and people who keep cars a long time and care about real-world reliability. It is weak for drivers who do almost exclusively highway miles because the gains are smaller. It's also not for enthusiasts who hate the feel of eCVTs and silent propulsion, or people who want pure electric driving for environmental or noise reasons. Hybrid batteries are much smaller than full EV packs. They're cheaper to replace if they ever do fail. They often last 10 to 15 years in well-designed systems, and they are managed conservatively by the control software, which keeps them in a safe charge zone. And because the engine is still there, there is no range anxiety, no being stranded by a broken charger, no planning your life around where to plug in. In a world where EV infrastructure is uneven, regulations are hammering pure gas, and people still need practical, affordable cars, hybrids are the obvious middle path. So, are we being forced into EVs? Yes and no. Here's the brutal truth. At a policy level, yes, the industry is being dragged toward electrification. If you zoom out 20 to 30 years, it's very likely that most new vehicles will be electric or heavily electrified. But you, personally, are not obligated to jump straight to full EV right now if it doesn't make sense for your life. The problem is that the conversation in media and politics often pretends there are only 2 choices: burn dinosaurs forever or go full electric tomorrow. That's a false binary. Hybrids, especially extremely well-proven systems from brands like Toyota, Honda, Ford in some models and others, are a third option. Massive efficiency gains, real emissions reductions, far lower dependency on charging infrastructure, smooth, quiet driving that's better than a lot of pure gas cars, and a track record that already includes hundreds of thousands of miles in taxis, fleets, and daily drivers. We're clearly in a long transition period. Jumping straight to the extreme of all EV right now makes sense only for some people. For everyone else, hybrids are the low-drama, high-benefit option. The catch is that not all hybrids are created equal. Before you run out and buy anything with a hybrid badge, understand this: hybrid is a category, not a guarantee. From a reliability and longevity standpoint, Toyota and Lexus full hybrids have decades of global data backing them. Honda's early IMA hybrids were weaker. Their newer two-motor systems are better, but younger. Ford, Hyundai, Kia, and others have some solid hybrid systems, but you need to research specific models and years. And mild hybrids, those little 48-volt systems, do much less for fuel economy and mostly exist for emissions test cycles. If your goal is to own it to 200,000 plus miles without drama, you want a full hybrid system with a strong track record in a car that isn't overloaded with fragile luxury gimmicks and with easy access to parts and hybrid-experienced mechanics. Hybrids are logical, if you pick the right ones. So, what should you actually do? Here's how I'd think about it, from a purely practical, engineering-minded perspective. If you own a home or dependable off-street parking, do mostly local commuting, live in a region with solid public charging, and you can comfortably afford it, then a full EV can be a genuinely brilliant daily driver. Just go in with eyes open about range, charging, and long-term battery life. If you drive a lot of mixed city and highway, can't install a charger where you live somewhere with weak infrastructure, or just want to reduce fuel use without changing your entire life, then a proven full hybrid is probably the smartest choice right now. If you're on a tight budget, drive an older gas car that still works, and can't afford a new or late model hybrid or EV, then keeping a simple, reliable gas car running well is still better for the planet and your wallet than overextending yourself on a new car you can't afford. The point is, you are not crazy for feeling like the EV push is ahead of where infrastructure and real-world life are. You're not anti-future for wanting a middle option that works today. That middle option exists. It's called a hybrid. If this helped you see through some of the noise, if you're now thinking in terms of systems, not just buzzwords like electric good, gas bad, you're exactly who this channel is for. Most people get dragged into decisions by marketing, peer pressure, or panic. Here, we look at how the tech actually works, what fails, what lasts, and what makes sense for real humans, not just policy charts. If you're not subscribed, you're still walking into EV versus hybrid versus gas decisions half blind, while everyone here is slowly getting the full picture. Hit subscribe now before your next car purchase, because whether you go EV, hybrid, or stick with gas, you'll want it to be a decision you made on purpose, not one that was made for you. I'm GearHead. Every drivetrain has a story, and together, we're going to decode all of them so you can choose the one that actually fits your life.